Genesis 35 and really 36 form a sort of bridge to the story of Joseph, which is the next major section in the book of Genesis. But for today, I want to simply just focus on how God works in the daily lives of Jacob's family. So on the good side, as the leader of his family, Jacob spiritually encourages them and actually instructs them to purify themselves in preparation to meet God and to walk in obedience to him. Jacob then leads his family in a sort of public worship service, almost a rededication service. Then, again, on the good side, near the end of the chapter, we see the fulfillment of Jacob's words from chapter 28 as he returns to his father's house in peace and then is present ultimately at Isaac's funeral. But on the negative side, we're reminded of Jacob's favoritism of Rachel and her sons. We're confronted with the incest and assault that is instigated by Reuben against Bilhah. Jacob's failure to address this actually speaks volumes about the family dynamic and even provides a sort of backdrop for the eventual mistreatment of Joseph. Additionally, we're reminded that people experience emotional mountaintops as well as the trials of dark valleys, and that sometimes these two things are closely intertwined. Such was the case with the birth of Jacob's 12th son. Benjamin's birth was certainly a time of celebration, yet it also brought about the death of Rachel. In all of this, we see that God is at work, faithfully bringing about his good and perfect plan. Remember that the previous chapter ended with Jacob cowering in anger and fear. Yet here we read that God used that situation to spur Jacob to return to Bethel, and that God providentially caused a, quote, terror to fall on all the inhabitants of the land, and in doing so, he protected Jacob and his family as they traveled. And not only that, but God reaffirms his covenant with Jacob and says that kings will come from his legacy. The fulfillment of that statement begins with Saul, who was himself a descendant of Benjamin, and then obviously continues through David and ultimately Jesus. Notice also that here we are introduced to the town of Bethlehem. Now here it's mentioned as a place of mourning, but in time it would become synonymous not with death, but with the birth of Christ. So as you read Genesis chapter 35, just be encouraged that God works in and through the sort of normal rhythm of family life to change us and grow us and even draw us closer to him. And as you do that, remember that God redeems our failures for his good or for our good and his glory.